It's been a very active offseason for the Washington Capitals as they retool on the fly. Dan Holmi of Locked On Capitals is here to talk about their moves and where that puts them in the Metropolitan Division this coming season. All that and more on today's Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Gil Martin here, and welcome everybody to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts so you can get new episodes as soon as they drop. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. With the NHL and NBA playoffs in our rearview mirror, there just aren't as many games as we'd like. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the show the host of Locked On Capitals, Dan Holmi. And Dan, it has certainly been a very active offseason for the Washington Capitals. I know The Athletic ranked them as one of the most improved teams in the NHL. Why have they been, why are they better on paper right now?
Well, the former GM, Brian McClellan, he made some big acquisitions, and he didn't even wait for free agency and went out and acquired Pierre-Luc DuBois, a guy that is kind of surrounded by criticism. We know he had an off season with the Kings, but on paper, I think that is going to be a good fix for the Capitals. One of the things that Alex Ovechkin spoke of is that he lacked chemistry with the centers on his team. So PLD looks to be that guy. I know that Dylan Strome is probably going to fight for that position as well. And it's the addition of Andrew Mangiapane is going to be another addition potentially as a goal scorer. And then you take a look at the blue line. John Carlson was routinely playing 25 to 30 minutes a night. That is not sustainable for John Carlson or the Capitals. So he went out and made some big acquisitions, and Jakob Chychrun, quite a defenseman who has an offensive flair. I'm pretty excited about that. And they got him for, well, next to nothing. So that was a good deal. And also the addition of Matt Roy. I know that he's not one of the sexier names in the NHL, but the Capitals pushed all their chips in by signing him to a 6-year deal. That will definitely alleviate a lot of the pressure on John Carlson. And then Logan Thompson, an addition in the net minding department that I didn't really see coming, but looks to be a good upgrade as well.
Now, this team also did lose some players. Out of the players that moved on, which one do you think will be the most difficult to replace?
Well, when you take a look at it, Darcy Kemper was the big guy that moved out, and that was to get Pierre-Luc Dubois in here. You saw Malenstein, you saw Abe Kubel move out, but with Malenstein moving out, the Capitals moved up in the draft and got a good selection there. I'm not too heartbroken, to be honest with you, about any of the players that are gone. I know that Beck Malenstein, if I had to pick a player that I'm upset about, just because he was a guy that did whatever it takes to get a jersey any given night, laying down, blocking shots, doing the dirty, gritty things that a lot of other players don't like doing. Abe Kubel, I'm fine with that. Max Pacioretty, I take a look at him. He was more of a mentor. There was a lot of risk associated with it. 2 times he had those Achilles issues. And I know the Capitals were all in on him originally. 6 times in his career, he had scored 30 goals. But to answer your question, I'm not too heartbroken about any of the players that are moved out. I'm pretty excited about the players that got brought in, however.
How much better on paper, because obviously we're still about a month away from training camp, but how much better is this team on paper than they were a year ago?
I think a lot better, more goal scoring. And a lot of this Former GM Brian McClellan said they're risky moves. And to clarify what he meant by that was that these were moves that have risk. Pierre-Luc Dubois could not, maybe not live up to potential. Andre Mangiapane. But these moves were very smart in the regard that the Capitals did not have to mortgage the farm in order to get them. I know oftentimes people are giddy with the idea of getting a Marchessault or, a Getzel, something like that, and they are willing to do whatever it takes to get said players like that. But I think that he set up current and new GM Chris Patrick in a good position. I think that, he filled the rental car up with gas. He detailed it. He plugged any holes in the lineup. He created 2 holes on the 4th line with Malenstein and Aube-Kubel, and he filled those positions as well with Duhaime and Radish potentially, that I think the Capitals are in a good position. And he really widened the net, got a 30,000-foot view, and took care of the net mining position, something that I don't even really think was a problem, but it was a contract year for you take a look at Charlie Lindgren and also Logan Thompson, that he definitely left no stone unturned. And I think the Capitals are in a much better position and, dare I say, making a good push for the playoffs as we record this in August.
Talk to me about Alexander Ovechkin. He is the leader of this team. Last year, slow start, obviously, came on later in the season. Where do you see him, and how important is his quest for Gretzky's record going to be for this team this year?
So there's 41 to catch and 42 to pass Gretzky. And, oftentimes he'll deflect it and goes, it's not that important to me. That's more important to you fans. I want to win more cups here. But I know what that's really all about with Alex Ovechkin after every game. When do you think you're going to catch Gretzky? When do you think you're going to catch Gretzky? I think he got so sick of it that he said, it's important to you guys. I want to win another Stanley Cup. But as I often say, as Alex Ovechkin goes, so go the Capitals. Take a look at him last season. Ovechkin got off to his slowest start in his entire career, went to Dubai, rode around on a camel during the All-Star break, came back a changed man, and the Capitals went on a heater towards the end of the season and did the unthinkable by making it to the playoffs, something that seemed outside of the realm of possibility. But Alex Ovechkin is in a good position. I think, he's ramping up his training. One of the things that I don't like about some of the players when they partake in these summer activities, Alex Ovechkin included, is that he has his knee a bit dinged up, which is supposed to be a minor injury, but he's playing in all of these celebrity games and that kind of thing over in Russia that sometimes I wish these guys would take it back a little bit. But as long as Alex Ovechkin hits the training hard, doesn't get off to that slow start like he got last year, and maybe concentrated on the things that made him a bit more successful in his younger day. Training, maybe not putting Coca-Cola in your water bottle, maybe not eating a heavy diet of pasta, which he said to have been doing. So all things considered, I think he's in a good position. All the interviews, he was pretty happy with the moves that Brian McClellan had made. He's not much of a talker. He just responded by a thumbs up emoji with the acquisition of Pierre-Luc Dubois. So I think the Capitals, I think Alex Ovechkin are in a good position to hit the ground running in the fall.
Who do you think his line mates will be this year?
Well, how it's sketched out to be Alex Ovechkin, Dylan Strome, and Tom Wilson is what a lot of people are thinking. Of course, Pierre-Luc Dubois could potentially be that guy, but I think he's going to have to earn it. It's not going to be something that is just given to him. That we've seen Dylan Strome play on that top line center for a good chunk of last year. But the one thing I know for sure is that Alex Ovechkin is looking for that chemistry like he had with Nick Backstrom for so many years, and those guys don't grow on trees. So I think it's going to be Strome. I think it's going to be Pierre-Luc Dubois, something of that nature. But I mean, hey, it's early. Some guy could really pop off at camp and just really impress everyone. But that is what I would expect it to be. Right now is Strome, but I think that PLD is going to give him a run for his money as well.
What is the biggest key for the Capitals to take a big leap forward this year?
Goal scoring, something that kind of eluded them for a good chunk of last year, as it was Dylan Strome that led the team for a lion's share of the season in goals scored until Alex Ovechkin turned it on, is having goal scoring up and down the lineup. One of the things that was glaringly apparent to me when the Capitals got eliminated by the Rangers in the playoffs in short order, mind you, is that they have goal scoring up and down the lineup. It's not just one player. They have a lot of different guys that can score goals. I think the Capitals are trending more in that direction now with PLD, with Andrew Mangiapane, not to mention even Miroshnichenko, who I think is going to fight for a job on camp. Also, Ethan Frank, one of the fastest guys, not only in the AHL, but the NHL, kind of fits the narrative of the Capitals, wanting to get younger and faster. He's both of those things. So it's an exciting team to kind of sit back and observe and to see how it all shakes out. Oftentimes how things are sketched out in August aren't actuality when training camp starts, but it is an exciting time to be a Capitals fan, and I expect bigger and better things from this team.
All right, Dan, I know you'll have it covered every step of the way. Why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter. It's at DanCaps218. You can find me on Twitter. It's at LockedOnCaps. And of course, the podcast is available on YouTube or wherever you find your podcasts.
Dan, thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much I never want them to stop. But with the Stanley Cup playoffs and the NBA playoffs far in our rearview mirror, we have fewer games. And the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. And all I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. And look, Major League Baseball in full swing. You have preseason football going on, football futures, hockey futures. Check out all of the odds at FanDuel. Head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. That's FanDuel.com, FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.